Support for this podcast comes from RZL HVAC Zoning Technology. RZL has been producing innovative zoning systems for over 35 years. We manufacture the highest quality HVAC zoning equipment from our factory in Cleveland, Ohio. Innovation, customer service, and outstanding products backed by a lifetime warranty are why so many contractors only use RZL Zoning. We offer easy-to-install solutions, from a basic 2-zone system all the way up to custom zoning applications. For more information, go to rzlzoning.com or email us at marketing@rzlzoning.com. To Your Success. To Your Success is the #1 gifting service for home services companies. Because you're a different contractor, you care about customers and want to express appreciation to build strong customer relationships. But you need a process that's effortless for you while feeling relational to your customers. There is an answer. To Your Success gives you the ability to automate a handcrafted thank you gift as soon as you complete a job. Visit toyoursuccess.com to learn more or schedule a live demo and receive a sample cookie gift. Delight your customers, build relationships, and cultivate loyalty. Visit toyoursuccess.com.
Welcome to The Successful Contractor, powered by Success Group International, a show for residential contractors about residential contractors. We chronicle business journeys, share insights, and celebrate successes in this wonderful industry. I'm your host, Bob Houchin. Hello there, SGI family and other contractor friends. I'm so thankful you're here. As a reminder, all episodes of the Successful Contractor Show are available on YouTube as well as your podcast player of choice. Today's show is another SGI Monthly Member Panel. These are interactive, live programs where an SGI coach joins me and other SGI members to discuss a particular topic. This monthly member panel featured ABrooks of ABrooks Construction, KangaRoof in Bristol, Pennsylvania, Dave Hill of Express Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning in Ship Bottom, New Jersey, and Missy Jones from our very own Success Group International. Among the four of us, we discuss creating and protecting company culture. At SGI, we talk and train member contractors about how to become operationally excellent, and that's hugely important for obvious reasons. However, this is a people business, and when we've spent so much time and energy into finding and developing the right people to run and lead our businesses, it's vital that we keep them. And we keep great people by having a great place to work, by having a great company culture. So with all that being said, here's my discussion with ABrooks, Dave Hill, Missy Jones, as we discuss creating and protecting company culture. I hope you enjoy it and take away a nugget or two. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another monthly member panel. I'm your host, Bob Houchin. So excited to see you. So glad that you took some of your valuable time to be with us. It was also so great to see and talk to so many of you at our recent expo in Temecula, California. It was an incredible event. Lots of great reviews, so thank you for that. But a little bit of housekeeping, please put in your calendars now. Our next expo, our spring expo, will be in Orlando, Florida, March 21st through the 25th. Make some time to be there. There's so much value taken from expo when you're there in person. So please put that in your calendars and do everything you can to be there for us. Today's topic for our monthly member panel is a topic that was discussed fairly in depth at our recent expo. Really, it was much of Wednesday, and it's the idea of culture. You know, at SGI, we have lots of tools and systems and procedures that you can implement in your business to help drive your gross margin and that bottom line profit. But for a company to be successful day in, day out, month in, month out, year in, year out, it really takes great people. And as we've learned over the years, great people don't stick around unless they love where they work. And that means having a great company culture. So again, we talked about it at Expo, and we're going to talk about it today with three incredibly talented people, great individuals in our industry, 2 owners, 1 SGI member. I'm gonna cue them up right now. The first being Mr. ABrooks from ABrooks Construction, KangaRoof in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. Also, our next panelist is Mr. Dave Hill from Express Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning in Ship Bottom, New Jersey. And lastly is Miss Missy Jones from our own Success Group International. Missy's been in the home services space for a long time. She worked for Milestone and really helped launch them. Was a big part in building your culture over there. So I can't think of 3 better people to have on this panel. So thank you guys for making that effort. Before I forget to do this, because I'm always bad about it, About 10 minutes or so left in this hour. I will try and ask any questions that those of you watching live may have. So please type those. There should be a little box somewhere on your screen where you can type those out. Again, about 10 or 15 minutes at the end of the hour. I'll be sure to get to those. So type them out and we'll address them there. So let's dig into it. So Abe, we'll start with you. You're the first one I see on the top of my screen. What do you define as your company culture at KangaRoof?
What do I define? A lot of family values. What it's really not what I define. It's the employees kind of what they really look for and what they strive for.
Yep.
The number one that they, we're very family oriented. Every one of my employees either has kids on the way or they do have a family at home. They do have homes and things of that nature. So it's very family oriented. The core values are the honesty and integrity and making sure that everything's done right.
Yeah. Did those three come? Did you work with those as a team, or was that something you decided and just kind of preached the value of those three? How did they come about?
As I look back on it, I've heard, done a different classes and all that.
Yeah.
I know in the very beginning, I was always stressing that my main thing was to make sure that I had health coverage for my employees, and I'm going back 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And the reason was because I wanted to make sure that when I hired someone that they needed to go to work. In my industry, you got a lot of guys go, what I call barflies. I didn't want those. So I really my main thing that I could give to someone was, here, I got health insurance for you and your family.
Yeah.
Back when it was affordable to do that 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of people come work for me for that because no one else in my industry was really in the roofing industry was offering that.
Sure.
So that was, I guess that probably started it 30 years ago. And when I joined SGI, I guess almost 15 years ago, probably 13 years ago now, I really started instilling some of the other things, the training and everything else that go along with it.
Yeah, that's great. We'll dig into lots of that as we go along. So thank you, Abe. Dave, I'm going to throw it over to you. How do you define your company culture at Express?
How do I define my company culture? A project that we will never stop working on, for sure.
That's good.
Our company culture, as you guys know, was something that really just 2 years ago didn't exist, right? There was a culture, but it was bad. It was called yelling at one another. So we've come a long way. It took a lot of really tough days, weeks, months, and years to lead up to this point where we finally figured this thing out. And it doesn't happen overnight, but our company culture is great. We like to have a good time, right? And if we're going to be here working and killing ourselves day in and day out, we might as well have this great company culture that affords us to have a little bit of fun, make a little bit of extra money and have a whole lot of extra fun. That's kind of how we roll it. Everybody's got their different methods, but it's huge for us.
I know that's a tough question, and this isn't any easier, but how did that turnaround start to happen 2 years ago? Was there, can you just pinpoint one or two small
question, Bob, but I'll answer it anyway. So it was just another day at Express, and I was when I came on, I was in the field, right? In the first 6 months, I was still in the field, trying to figure things out and lay all the groundwork. And I was working on a job, and just it was a tough job. And our co-owner actually came to deliver lunch to us, and pulled up and just kind of saw me yelling at the guys and losing my mind, and just it was bad. And co-owner here, it's Jennifer, just happens to be my wife, and she put me in my place. She didn't put me in my place at that moment. She went back to the office and she called Mr. Zeller, and that fixed it. There were many conversations to follow, and he had his hands full coaching me because I'm a handful, but we made it. And not only did we make it, but here's the really amazing part, right? When I figured out how to stop being a boss and start being a coach.
Yeah.
Everything slowly, but everything started falling in line. And now we have a really fun place to come to. I love the people that I work with.
That's awesome.
I changed the ones that are still here, you know, some are not, but the ones that are still here, I changed their lives. And that to me was worth every conversation, every minute, every dollar spent.
That's awesome. Good stuff. Thanks, Dave. Missy, you talk with people all the time. You've been part of growing organizations. How have you always defined culture in the businesses that you've been in, and in talking to members that are just trying to learn what that's all about? How do you talk to them about it?
So culture, wow, you know, multifaceted, but I would
Real easy
say,
topic. Yeah.
yeah. So I think that it really kind of starts with the success of your company, because if everybody is aligned and together, then together you're achieving your goals, right? And so success happens a little bit more intentionally and planned along the way. You have less turnover. You know, it's the atmosphere, especially when you get to go on site and witness everybody's different facilities and just that closeness that they may have, how people treat each other. It's cool. You're walking up and down the hallway and somebody's just high-fiving because they're high-fiving. They love and appreciate each other. They're family members, you know?
Right.
So a lot of pieces go into that, but yeah, I look at overall success of that company because culture is a huge component to your organization.
Yeah. And I think, you know, success is also, I mean, the company has to be doing well, because if everyone's stressed about money, I don't know if you intended that angle, but I definitely see that, you know, you've got to be profitable. You have to have things moving in the right direction. If not, there's that stress, and it's sure hard to like where you're at when you're stressed out. I'm sure that's a big part of it as well. So good stuff. All right. Well, Dave, I'm going to throw it over to you. You'll be our guinea pig on this question. I'll let Abe and Missy think about it for a second. How much of your culture now is defined by kind of being open and honest with your employees and communicating with them and allowing them to do the same, versus just kind of like ranting and raving like you used to do to be the old Dave? How much is communication a big part of it?
I'm going to ruin this for these guys because there's not going to be anything left. All of it. The reality is, if my door's not open, this isn't going to work. You know, whether it's they all have to have someone to go to, and you know, the technicians need to have a service manager to talk to, but they need to know that service manager, if they're not busy, they can escalate that ladder and continue. And my door is always going to be open. In fact, that's something that we encourage. That's why we're always I keep the one-on-ones in my company. For me, the one-on-ones are super important, and that's one thing I'm just not going to let go. I never want to lose touch of my people. So really, open communication is the only way to do it. Yeah. And when your culture takes off in your company, you probably will have more communication than you want. I will guarantee you that. It definitely has a way of steamrolling and really just opening up everybody to everything. It really helps us when my people aren't afraid to come to me and say something about someone that they wouldn't have divulged a year or two ago to me. And say, okay, well, great. I'm glad that you brought that to my attention. And then I can address it the right way instead of it going, you know.
Right.
So yeah, being open is huge for us.
Let me ask you this, because there's this. I know this question I think will probably come up. You know, if say your service manager is busy and you've got a technician's got whatever problem, maybe it's a problem with the service manager. He comes to you with it. How do you kind of avoid cutting the legs out from underneath your service manager and kind of going, hey, I recognize what you're telling me, but I want you to talk to him?
It's very simple. I spend time with my service manager, and they understand how we do what we do and why we do it. So he's never going to feel like I'm cutting the legs from under him. He's going to say, hey, Dave, thanks for taking that. I was really busy. What happened? Of course, I'm going to debrief him on it. We're going to talk about it, right? Because it was his conversation to have. And they skip the steps sometimes because they just felt more comfortable talking to me. There's a lot of reasons why that could happen, but that wouldn't happen. That wouldn't be an issue. Our service manager and every employee that we have, you have to be on board. That's the key. So
that's great. One more follow up before I move along. How open are you about how the business is performing? Letting them know, hey, we're hitting goals. All your hard work is really creating results. Well, how do you guys kind of do that in your company?
Yeah, so we track performance every day, right? That's what we do. We've got all our goal boards up and all that stuff. Everybody knows their KPIs and what they're supposed to be doing, but we definitely are very open, not just when we're doing well. And I think that's the key. When you're doing well, right? But when you're not doing well and you're watching the numbers and you're seeing what's going on, you got to start bringing it up in the daily huddles. If it doesn't, if that doesn't, hey, I need you to bring me, I need 2 more comfort advisor visits for Thursday. I need this, I need that. This is what our numbers look like. This is what we need to bridge that gap. We have to put in X amount of more, whatever. If it doesn't work there, then you bring it in a team meeting and you get real with your people. You just tell them, say, hey, listen, this is the numbers. This is where we're at. This is our goal. This is where we're falling short, I think. This is what we need to work on. And they'll throw it back at you. Hey, what if we,
that's great.
And that's the beauty of the culture thing. We're a family and we only have one savings account, right? And in order for the family to go on vacations, we have to have money. It really kind of, they actually take a lot of pressure off of me by being more involved. That's we found.
I love it. Good. I like that. Hey, I'm going to throw the first question to you and a few follow-ups. How important is open and honest communication with your team and how it's shaped your culture? They know, they can come to you with a problem and you go to them and are very straightforward with what's going on in your business.
Yeah, my door is always open also. But that's, the key to having a great, healthy relationship is being honest with one another and finding out what's working, what's not working. Is there a problem? How do we solve the problems? We've got something in our business where, and we do this during the onboarding process. We kind of grade guys by, okay, you had a problem. Come up with 3 solutions. What's the best solution that you decided on? Now bring it to your superior. Don't just bring the problem. Bring 3 possible answers to the problem. Tell me which one that you decided, and we can discuss that. We can have a good, healthy conversation of where you're going, what you're thinking, and whether we think it was right or wrong. That's not a problem. We can figure this out together. At least they're coming at you with some kind of solutions to their own problems that way. So that has helped out a lot.
That's great. And it empowers them as well. They feel like they're taking ownership of the business, and and you're not letting them just go carte blanche. I mean, obviously they're checking in with you, but that's great. That's wonderful. I asked Dave the same question. If you've got a comfort or a roofing specialist that's irritated their superior, they go to you with a problem. How do you handle that situation of, hey, I hear you, I want to talk to you, and we're a family here, but you really need to keep it, there's a chain of command for a reason.
Really, you got to just sit down and try to look through their eyes and see what they're seeing. Sit down and just be all ears, and don't be rash, because I used to be able to jump to decisions, and in that kind of situation I would typically sit down and, okay, let me, if there's an issue with, say my sales manager with a sales guy and he's not having an issue, before I go to the sales manager, I'm going to go to somebody else, maybe another sales guy. Hey, what are you seeing?
Oh, that's good.
And a lot of times I'm going to get the in between, and I can go to the sales manager, and then you try to piece it all together, and let's smooth this out. What's going on? Sometimes someone has to bend. Maybe both of them have to bend. But really, you got to be all ears. And I'll be honest with you, when I was an owner, like Dave was saying, and not a coach, I was never ears. I would tell you, you were right or you were wrong, and this is what you got to do, and that's it, you know. And
Yeah,
learned a lot over the years as far as just sit back, shut up, and listen. You know,
that's great.
and wait
That's
to comment. You know.
yeah, yeah. Another follow-up, I asked Dave this, and I think I know your answer, but I want to hear from you, is how open are you about how their business is performing, showing people where we are in terms of numbers, and hey, guys, we're doing a great job, or hey, we need to pick it up this month, we're a little behind.
We're wide open.
Yeah.
What I do in the in December, we kind of let everybody, we go over everything, and we look at, you know, you don't hit everything all the time, you know,
Yeah.
so you figure out where the mistakes were, what happened. Did I think we were going to do more than what was I wrong in saying,
Mhm.
hey, we were going to get 15,000 calls this year and how we were going to handle them? You know, there's always some kind of numbers that are off. But in January, we go over the budget. We let everybody know this is our percentages that we want to hit. You know, this is the profit that we want to hit on the bottom line. These are the numbers that we want to hit. And then I break it down to individuals. This year, we're breaking it down to individual on production.
Mhm.
Every Friday, we have a production meeting. And like Dave said, my guys know their daily KPIs. They know what our DME, what we're supposed to hit, what we're hitting. And this was something that we just started about 2 years ago, and it came from at the end of the year, just talking to my employees. And one of my production guys hit me with, I'd really like to know what the sales guys are selling
Yeah.
so that I know whether or not I got work the next couple of weeks, you know.
Sure.
And it was just a stress relief for them, you know. Hey,
Yeah.
okay. So every Friday morning, I have my sales guys stand up, my sales manager stand up and go over the sales for the week.
That's great.
Because typically, you know, we're 2 weeks out on our,
Mhm.
you know, to the production. But more importantly, he lets them know, okay, say, hey, we may have missed our goal for this week, 150,000 by
Yeah.
20,000. Oh, by the way, though, Tony has a job that he's waiting to get signed. Tony, when did you say that's getting signed? Monday morning for 30,000. Abe's got this one. So, you know, it just goes down the line. Look, we have things in the pipeline
Right.
to ease their concerns.
Yeah.
And they may stand up and say, hey, listen, man, we didn't have many calls. It hasn't rained in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
There's no urgency. We've got people out there. You all know what's going to happen. As soon as it rains, I got 5 people who are going to call me, want to get this thing signed because the water's pouring in. You know, no matter what you do, you can manage that urgency somewhat, but it's difficult sometimes. Then on the
Sure.
other end of it, we have the production manager stands up and he goes over what we did for that week in production. And
Mhm.
again, we may have missed it because it rained 3 days. Well, we can't
Yeah.
rip a roof off and put it on if it's raining. So no matter what I do, you know, production wise and budget wise, there's some times where we're going to be sky high and down low. Everybody just needs to understand where it's at, what's happening. So they're going over that, and then we go over it every month. We celebrate where we are. We celebrate with the sales champions and the guys who are doing the production. And then we do quarterly. We go over where we are on the quarters and
Yeah.
half of the. So we're tracking it. And this year, for the first time, we did. I'm doing something new with a quarterlies for my front end sales girls. I got them selling things over the phone, not only just diagnostics, but gutters and garage doors
Okay.
and roof inspections and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I gave them a budget that I want them to hit every
Yep.
quarter, and they get spiffed on it. So they hit that number, they're going through. And this coming year, we're going to start doing that on production on an individual basis, is what I'm
That's
looking
great.
at. And this
That's
way,
awesome.
everybody sees it. They know exactly where they are.
Yeah.
And I know doing it, they enjoy it.
Mhm.
We do the wheel and all the other thing on Friday mornings. All right, if you got your name mentioned, and just to see the joy of, oh man, hey, what did he get? You know, he got 3 spins. He pulled money out of the money box. He got gift cards. He got time off with the family.
Yeah.
We've got all different crazy things whatever we can come up with to make it. And again, it's really asking my employees, what do they want, and then try to fulfill their needs.
That's good. That's good stuff, Abe. Thank you very much. Missy, kind of throwing it to you. When you coach people, let's jump back to the original-ish question of what happens when, as an owner, an employee comes to you and says, I got a problem with my supervisor, my manager. How do you coach owners to deal with that so as not to kind of cut the legs out from that supervisor, but also to resolve the issue in a way where we can, we don't corrupt or hurt any kind of a culture that we have building?
So, I always do the question first of, hey, listen, so I understand you have an issue with your manager. Have you talked to your manager about it first? Right? I want them to follow that chain of command. And then if yes, I've talked to him about it. No, there's not been any change. So now I'm going to escalate it to the owner. So that way the team member is not circumventing their manager. The manager is in the loop, and I'm not sweeping the manager at the knees, right?
Yeah.
So, I'll listen to that side depending on, what the issue is. I might call them both into the room pull them in the room at the same time and say, okay, let's talk about the elephant in the room, because we have some type of breakdown and we need to figure out what's going on and make this right.
Yeah.
So generally that's kind of just asking those questions,
listening.
First and foremost, have you gone to your manager on this first?
Yeah.
If you have, okay, come on in, let's sit down, what's going on, right?
Yeah.
Just kind of taking it from there for sure.
Sure. And then the other follow-up I was asking these other two gentlemen was, how do you talk to members about being open about how the business is performing, sharing numbers? That's so scary for a lot of new members. They hear that, like, oh my gosh, I don't want them to know how much money I'm making or how we're doing. How do you talk people through that for them to understand the value of that?
So, I like to kind of turn it to something that everybody understands, that reasons why relationships fail is because of lack of communication. So if you're not transparent with your people and your intentions within your organization, so they can all help see the vision, the direction of where you're going, it makes things really hard, right? And so if we can be transparent and share the goals and hey, here's your part that I've hired you to do that I need you to make good on. Here's your role, knock it out, because I saw the abilities in you to bring you on board. Now I have to trust my decision in trusting you. Now I need you to just go out there and handle business, right? And then the numbers show us when people are handling business. And if they're not, it's an opportunity to scratch that surface and figure out why. Maybe it's just more training. So I think just all in all, upfront, transparency is key. Let everybody know their ownership, what they're being held accountable for performance-wise in the organization. Because carrying that burden as an owner, everything on your shoulders, I can't imagine. So when you have awesome people working with you, carry the load together, because you are a team and you guys will get there so much quicker, and that overall transparency of not hiding things so everybody knows what their part is. It opens that communication channel. Everybody knows where they stand. It removes a lot of the guesswork, which is where a lot of bad expectations start forming themselves when they may not be anything that an owner's intentions truly are. So if we can keep that at bay, keep those open lines of communication and be transparent, I think that is for sure really important.
Support for this podcast comes from Synchrony Financial. Allow homeowners to pay at a rate that fits their budget with a merchant fee that fits yours. Visit www.toolbox.mysynchrony.com for more information.
Welcome back to the show. I'm talking to ABrooks of ABrooks Construction, KangaRoof in Bristol, Pennsylvania, Dave Hill of Express Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning in Ship Bottom, New Jersey. and Missy Jones from our very own SGI. And we're talking about creating and protecting company culture. It's been a hugely insightful conversation so far, and it's only going to get better. So let's jump back into it with Abe, Dave, and Missy. Abe, I'll lead you off on this one. And we talked about it a little bit before we hit record. You do a lot in the community. You do a lot of fun stuff with your team. I know you've gone to ball games. You guys have a good time. How important is fun as a part of your company culture and being together and having fun?
We celebrate every Friday what we're doing. That the production meeting, people hear, oh my God, these guys are in there at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. One of the guys, Tony, he makes breakfast for everybody. He's got this great breakfast recipe. So, during the pandemic, it kind of really messed up a lot of our things that we were doing. But,
Sure.
Pre-pandemic, I would do a comedy night. I would hire comedians and we would go out I would rent out a lodge and we would just go out and roast everybody in the team. Just have a lot of fun with that. We've done Phillies games, Trenton Thunder game. God, you name it. If someone said, hey, let's go do that, we'll go do it. We'll go out to the casino and see comedians there.
Yeah.
Expos, when you guys see us in the spring expos, that's who we are.
Yeah.
I just go and guys, go have fun, do what you got to do. But our big thing, a couple big things is every June, July, we do the half a year. I kind of go over what the numbers are, and we'll go out and do that at a restaurant somewhere and just kind of have a good company meeting outside of work because everything pretty much takes place at work. Yeah. And then we do the big Christmas party with all the families and the kids, and we get all the sub crews in there. So we'll have I don't know, I may have 40 adults and about 30 kids there with Santa Claus. And hopefully before pandemic, I had the Philadelphia Mummers, one of the Mummers bands, because I have supported their cause in one of the firehouses. They were supposed to come and do the Mummers with Santa coming in, which would have been awesome. Yeah. And with pandemic, it all kind of shut it down. Yeah. So I got Amy working on that. Hey, listen, let's get get the string band back together and get them guys out there. But you name it, we're doing it. And as you know, I got Amy as our community ambassador now, and that kind of falling onto her lap. Say, listen, find a bunch of things that we can do together outside of work and just have a great time together.
Yeah. Yes. I do know, but for those that don't, Abe does, I don't want to say you promoted someone in your team to be community ambassador, and she just looks for opportunities to get involved. Right. So maybe speak to that. Why, what does that do for your team to see how active you guys? I know, again, pandemic threw a wrench into some things, but I mean, you guys were doing something like I feel like every week you were sponsoring something or some ball game.
Again, I'm no matter what, I want to be a coach, but I am the owner, so I'm overseeing everything. Yeah. As much as I want to be able to sit down and talk to everybody, your employees know one another better than you do. And that's where I think the great thing with Amy, she's so much more approachable. She's in that office every day. Yeah. I never realized, heck, I can get guys in my own company to go run a 5K, whatever race, She put it together and next thing I know, she's got, 3 or 4 of my guys and their wives and girlfriends all running in this race representing KangaRoof. I could have never done that because my brain's not thinking that way, I'm getting off track there, but she's. No, that's right. All the different things that we do. And the other thing I have is because we've been doing it for a long time, you get a lot of people coming at you. Right. And I really needed to say, we're at this stage right now and I'm spending X amount of money. Why don't I just put one person in charge of that? And I can say, here you go, Amy, this is my budget. Okay. Yeah. Let's figure this out. These we know are our go-tos. This is what we're going to do next year. Yeah. But I'm always, because I'm too big of a softy, and my wife was always like, you know, you set that budget and you're 15, 20,000. I don't care. This is a good cause. You know, this
Yeah.
is, you know, this one's ill. We got to take care of them. That's our
Yeah.
community.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to use her as a buffer, but you know, she knows when she comes to me, it's going to be yes. I said, I'll never
Yeah.
say no, but I need you to be able to look at it and tell me, hey, this is a great cause, Abe. I think this is going. So that was one aspect of it. And just to the fact that, hey, I would love to see our company doing something in the community 12 times a year, once a month on a consistent basis.
Yeah.
And for me to try to take that load, I know I
Right.
couldn't, you know.
Right. Right. So now does that become part of your marketing budget that you've set aside for these community events? Because I know you do it because you are passionate about it, but monetarily,
I try to keep that separate. For
yeah.
a long time now, I've just had a community budget. You know, what we would put it in there as community relations, and
Yeah.
which started out as sponsoring all little league teams and putting roofs on their dugouts. You know, that's part of the community events that we'll do, and I'll just put that and throw it to that. And
Yeah.
I'd have money set aside every year because, you know, not only do we want to support the local teams, but when those guys call me, hey, Abe, I need a roof put on that.
Yeah.
Hey, we can do this. Don't worry about it. I would give it to my guys and Ted, your production, put this on the schedule. This is a freebie. Let's get it done. Let's
Yeah.
get a few pictures, put it out in the community. And most of the time when we do that, the league themselves are promoting the heck out of us.
Yeah.
And it just comes through. And again, my guys enjoy it. They love it because either their kids have played at that field or they're
Yeah.
going to be playing at that field or they do play at that field. You
Yeah.
know, so it's all connected within our own company because we're all in that community knowing it. And hey, it's a good thing that when you go there and you have a kangaroo hat or a truck and all of a sudden someone comes up and thanks an employee, hey, thanks for these guys who did the roof. You put the roof on the snack stand.
Yeah.
You guys ended up rebuilding the batting cages for us. I mean, there's all kinds of things my guys have done on the little league aspect, and that's
Sure.
where a lot of it started at,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
it grew from there. Hey, you do this, you do that, you know. And again, we don't really ever say no. We got to sit down and look at it and say, let me find the money, and
Yeah.
pretty good at doing that part of it. You
Yeah.
know, it's really at this point in time getting the time to do a lot of it, and I
Right.
think that's where having Amy look at it and say, hey man, we're booked out. When can you do it? I mean, I think the craziest thing that I said yes to, and my guys thought I was like nuts, which I was. The Rotary Club came and wanted to know if I can put up a bus shelter.
Oh my gosh.
And you know, maybe well, that's what's so hard about that. And then all of a sudden it was some kind of specialty thing. I'm like, oh my God. We're alongside the highway. And my guys are like, dude, what are you get? Ted was like, dude, you know what you got us into? I'm like, I said it was one of them things in a passing that I was in a meeting. I'm like, yeah, that shouldn't be that difficult. We can do that, you know?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Like carpentry work.
and it's, you know, they get to make fun of me too. What are you doing? You know, and hey,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But trust me, every time I go by that bus stop in Langhorne, I look at it and laugh like, what the heck did I get my guys into doing?
That's funny. That's good stuff. All right. Well, good answers, Gabe. Thanks, or Abe. Thanks for that insight. Dave, throwing the question of kind of fun and having a place where people like to work and you guys have good times together. What are some fun things you guys do? I know you've taken like boat rides to have dinners, and what are some things you
Oh,
guys
yeah.
do express?
We've knocked down plenty of buoys. I did that. I had to call the detailer for the boat the next day because I was up on the fly bridge with one of my junior techs, and he was like, Dave, there's another one over there. And a few seconds later, we figured out, ding, yeah.
Yeah.
So we do lots of fun stuff like that. I've taken the whole company out on a boat ride on my boat, which was interesting when you put that many plumbing and HVAC techs and their families together on one vessel to go out to dinner. Yeah, that was a good time. It was a fun ride back in the
Yeah.
dark.
Yeah.
We've done, the small things we don't overlook either. We go to Top Golf. We've done pig roasts at my house. There's nothing more real than bringing your people to your home
Right.
and saying, hey, come into my home, you're that important to me.
Oh, that's great.
And that's why Jen and I are pretty passionate about doing that. Once a year, we at least have one function in our house. So we really bring people in and tie together. This is family. You're family. You're in my home. You're welcome, and we're glad that you're here. So that's something we're really passionate about. But we do lots of other cool stuff. We had a huge goal last March. I like to talk about last March as much as I possibly can, because it was the best month of my life. We had a huge month last March, and I said, you know, owners are watching this, and you've all set a stretch goal that you didn't think you could make just to see if you could, right? I did that last March, and we hit it, and I flew every person on my team to my house in Florida. We rented out a beachfront hotel that's right next to us for everybody that couldn't fit. I had every bedroom in my house packed, and it was it literally came down to we were like 40 or 50,000 short. We had like 20 hours. It was stupid, and I don't know how they did it. I really didn't. We checked the numbers 3 times. They did it. It was amazing. We had the time of our lives. You know, you want to get your people souped up, have limos come to the shop and pick them all up to go hit up the airplane. That'll soup them up. You know, that's a real reward that we'll never forget. It was a great thing. But I think no more or no less powerful, no matter what you do, as long as you're getting these people together, saying, I appreciate you, I value you, thank you for everything you do for me and my team, and you have a good time. You gotta have a good time.
That's great. That's good stuff right there. Actually, Dan, I'm gonna bounce back to the next question over to you. I know, you know, you do all these fun things, and fun is a big part of culture, but you know, it's not just bringing people together; it's bringing like-minded people together, right? Because you got to have you have to have good people to have a good time and a good company. So how is your culture and the changes you've made impacted the type of people you hire? You know, in terms of personality, profiles or behaviors, what are you looking for when you interview people to bring them into this sacred culture you've spent so much time and money to cultivate?
Right. So we obviously put a lot of weight into all the different assessments for people, and the DISC assessment is huge here, right? We want to make sure that, you know, we're putting the right person in the right position, and we're trying to analyze all that stuff. And it is vitally important. But for us, I would rather hire someone who has no experience and the right attitude and the right fit for my team, and grow them into that technician or CSR or whatever the job happens to be that fits them best. I'd rather find those people and develop them into what I need than we've all hired the guy who has all the experience, and then you come in and like blows up your team because he doesn't get along with this guy or that guy or whatever it is. So that's how we've changed our hiring process entirely. We really are hiring for personality first. You know, we need someone that can develop into what we need them to be, but we're willing to invest the time and funds to do that because it's worthwhile when you have a team of people that are in sync and really understand one another, what needs to be done, what the expectation is, and let's go get it. That's how marches happen. And we're trying to capture March every month.
Are there certain characteristics that you've noticed that your best people have? You know, there's a certain, you know, they're just go-getters, or they're just energetic, or they're just so team focused. They think of the team first before their own numbers or money, stuff like that.
So all of those obviously are great traits, right? But I think it boils down for us anyway, can-do attitude. If your attitude is right and you've got your head on straight, there's not a lot that given the proper tools you're not going to be able to accomplish. And that's my job. I make sure you have the proper tools. If you got the attitude, we're going to make sure you're successful.
That's great. Good stuff, Dave. Abe, I'm gonna throw that question to you. How is, as you've cultivated this culture over the years, and how has it impacted the type of people you hire? You know, what kind of characteristics and people are you looking for?
It once I got to the new location, I was able to get a classroom in place, get a hands-on training area in place. I noticed a couple things. The guys who were really good that I hired really showed a very good interest in the training. Guys would go in, they start looking at it, start picking up the shingles. They were interested in learning.
Yeah.
And I've kind of, we're always looking for the right attitude and all that. That's the first thing. If they can get through the first test, and then they come in and sit down with me, and they've already been heard about some of the training, and I start walking them around. I'm looking for body language. I'm looking at, are they really interested, or are they just giving me lip service on they want to learn the KangaRoof way, how we're doing things.
Yeah.
And that has been a major thing, because when they do come in and they don't show, they're phony with the interest in the training, I know it's not going to work out. They can have the most positive attitude. Most of the time, it's just a faux attitude at that point, because that's the hardest part. But when I start going and they start asking me about, what is Dale Carnegie? What is SGI training? What is that? I see you got the Building All-Star team there. You got the Learning Alliance. What is, and when they start asking me in-depth questions, again, you got to get them to ask it. Now we can sit down and have a conversation. That is really where I found those are the guys who are going to be good for us.
Yeah.
Or girls, the ones that, now, man, I have no idea. And like Dave said, you always get that guy who knows everything. I take him into the training room. I've done that. I've done skylights, chimneys, and everything. How do you want that done? I see. That's what I do. And I take them into the classroom. Oh, these guys, how often are you in here? If I get that, I already know where we're going.
Right.
And again, that's changed. Without the training culture that we do have behind all that, the hiring process was completely different. You have a pulse, you're breathing, go ahead out there. And I'll put in the roof and see if you do know what you're doing.
Yeah.
These days, it's like, okay, no problem. Come on in. We'll take this apart and put it back together. Let me see what you can do.
Yeah.
And the guys who I love the best are the guys who tell me, listen, I really don't know that much, but I'm willing to learn.
Yeah.
And it's a home run at that point. So.
Good. Excellent. Good stuff. Missy, I'm going to throw that question to you, because, you're dealing with lots of different contractors, different sizes. Everyone is looking for people. I know, like Abe said, are you breathing? Can you start today? How do you coach like newer members on how to avoid that, and what characteristics to look for, and when they've never done any like serious interviewing, they've just put an ad out, brought someone in. How do you talk to them about making sure to bring the right people in?
So, I kind of start in reminding them it takes so long to build a culture, right? And build that family. So you want to protect it. And, when we think about somebody going on an interview, they're on their best behavior. So if you're the person doing the interview, they're going to be really on point for you.
Right.
And so that's where I really get into the sit along and the ride along. So a sit along for the office. If I can get them away from me to sit with team members that want to say, you know what, this is a good person to bring into our family, right? And get some of that approval there too, then they can sit with that person long enough and rotate them around in the office. People will pull different things out of them because they get more comfortable, right?
Sure.
And so then you start to determine, okay, is this person pure in their presence that they bring, or whoa, they got a lot going on, and maybe they're not the right fit for their culture, But I think that like-minded people attract like-minded people, right? And so we all know those genuine hearts that we want in our organization and what that looks like, but it's always good to, sew those into your core beliefs, right?
Yeah.
So everybody knows, this is, if you can do these things, we want you on our team, right? You know, so for some of that is a lot of times the culture starts to build before we ever have true definition, with things like going all the way back to mission statement, beliefs, standards, core values, all of that good
Yeah.
stuff. I think
Yeah.
that when we put that in place, it kind of helps.
Shape it.
Yeah, absolutely, right?
Yeah.
And so we start there with the foundation and then move forward, but always inspect what you expect.
Right.
You know, but give the applicant some time to relax. And
Yeah.
then let's make sure that, okay, is the mask coming off? Or are we still good?
Right. No, that's good. That's a good little nugget. I know members that do that, and it's always interesting to hear what their people say about the people they're interviewing.
Very much so. Yep.
Good stuff. Dave, I'm going to throw it over to you because you mentioned one-on-ones, and you know, a big part of culture is, yeah, you want to have a good time and you want the right people in there, but people have to have some accountability, right? It's not, I mean, this is a business, but we want them to understand where they need to be, and we want to coach them along to help them hit their goals. So in your one-on-ones, obviously that's probably a big part of your accountability. What are you talking about in them? Are there certain questions you ask? Is it just, how are you doing? How can we help? Talk about how you approach those.
Okay. So my one-on-ones tend to be long, and you'll find as you develop your culture, you have to carve out more times for these meetings because there's just more to talk about, right?
Yeah.
But we start off very simply. Every one-on-one that I have, we actually start talking about that particular team member, okay, and their goals, because that's very important. That's how we started our culture, believe it or not, was through our one-on-ones. That was kind of our first step. I brought everybody in and I said, hey, we're changing some things around here. You're going to notice a lot of changes. The number one change you're going to notice is going to be right here in front of you. It's going to be me. You're looking at them. And the first thing we want to talk about is what in your life is important to you. What is it that you'd like to accomplish in the next week, month, 6 months, year? And that opens up a lot of conversation because they, first of all, they're caught completely off guard because they're like, what do you mean you care about? Really? And that's how we start every annual one-on-one. Now, if we're just bringing somebody in to have a conversation about something went on, that's going to go a little bit differently, right?
Sure.
We're going to sit down. We're going to ask a lot of open-ended conversations. We're going to really dig into that matter and see what's really going on. Okay. And then if it's one of the situations where it's an issue, we're going to dig into that issue. We're not going to ignore it. We're going to confront it. We're going to figure it out. We're going to put a plan in place that can make that person successful at that job. And we're going to inspect what we expect, right? We're going to hold them accountable. We're going to make sure they know exactly what we need to be doing, how we're going to do that, how we're going to accomplish that. We have to give them an action plan to make that real. And then we're going to check on it. And we will, whether it's me or whether it's a service manager following up, we're going to check, we're going to make sure it got done. And then we're going to talk about it again if we need to talk about it. Hey, how'd that go? Doesn't need to be a one-on-one. One-on-ones can happen in the parking lot, guys. It doesn't always have to be in an office setting where, oh no, we're going to scare somebody to death, come up to my office, right? Walk through your parking lots in the mornings. You want to really make a big difference. Walk through the parking lot. Hey, how was your day yesterday? What's going on today? Oh, you got a big install. Great. Talk about it. How's that client? Whatever it is, give high fives. I don't think there's enough business owners that are walking by their people, whether it's in the middle of the day or first thing in the morning or at the end of the day. I'm high fiving. I'm like, hey man, was your day good? Yeah, it was good. Great. Give me a high five, dude. Keep it up. I think that we really need to harness that, and that can be anywhere. It doesn't have to be in an office. I think one-on-ones are always thought of in an office setting, but I don't feel that always has to be.
That's good. That's good stuff. You can't help but smile when you give someone a high five, right? So
you better smile when you give me a high five, or I'll make you smile.
That's good stuff. Thank you, Dave. Abe, how do you guys approach accountability? I don't know if you do one-on-ones or what's your approach at KangaRoof?
Like David said, my approach mostly are very casual.
Mhm.
In the beginning of the year, we go through all of our goals, and we have our company goals and we have our individual goals within the business, but then we also have our personal goals, what we want. And we have in our break room area, we got what we call our vision board,
Oh,
and
yeah.
in the middle is what the company wants, and on the left side's what your goals are for what you're going to do the business to help us hit those goals, and on the right side are your personal ones. It
Oh, that's
makes it
good.
very easy for me, so that where in passing I can just look over, hey, how you doing with saving for the house?
Right.
How are you going with your son's college tuition?
Yeah.
you know and it's very quick, easy. It's good conversation, but it
Yeah.
also keep it involved with where they are.
That's great.
uh, on the business end of it, yeah, if something's going on, we may have to sit down and go over and let's figure out what's happening. My job is to make you succeed, put you in a
Mhm.
position to succeed. Am I failing? What's
Mhm.
happening? Most of the time I'm sitting there looking at, hey, how you making out on that goal, this goal, whatever their goal is, their role is in my company. And they can pretty much tell me. And a lot of times I'll ask it and I already know that answer. I just want to see if they're tracking.
Right.
And I'm proud to say that 99.9% of the time they're spot on. They know it. Again, Amy and Chris do a great job. We have all of our numbers flashing on the screen right there in front of us. So they should know their own numbers, how much they've sold, how much they produced,
Right.
what those percentages are. That's rotating. So they can get a good idea of where they are
Yeah.
uh, on all that. But, the one-on-ones, that's pretty much like Dave was saying. It's just getting to know your people. And I think one of the best bits of advice that I had, and it went years ago, and I know I do it, my brother does it, my wife does it, is, how many owners actually thank their people
Yeah.
at the end of the day? Walk in, good morning, Missy, how are you doing today? Are your kids fine? Showing genuine interest in your employee, because we're just so, boom, I'm focused minded. I get that way. Put the binders on, man. I got this to do. I got that to do.
Yeah.
Slow down and be a human,
Yeah.
especially at the end of the day. And, I'll be in my office and I can see the trucks come in. And if it's a hot day, I am out there unloading that truck with them guys,
Oh, that's great.
bringing out the water. Let's see what we can do. That goes so far,
Yeah.
just again, showing a genuine interest. What happened today? Everything good? Hey, I see you're out late, man. What's going on? Is it okay? You
Yeah.
know, and again, it's got to be genuine. Don't run out there and walk back into the air conditioner. If because you start sweating, trust me.
Yeah.
And that's, you got to make sure it's genuine now.
That's
So
good. Good stuff. We're getting close to the end of the hour. I have a couple questions I'm going to throw out to you guys. Whoever wants to answer it, feel free. You both are, especially in very seasonal businesses, right? Where, it just seems that the work piles up when the rain comes or when the temperatures get super hot. And your guys sometimes are working long hours. How do you try and provide work-life balance for your people? That was a question. How do you try and keep work-life balance or show that they're appreciated, I guess, when when those hours are long? How do you manage that? It's such a hot topic now.
Well, one of the things that we started doing, and it's simple. If we've got somebody that we know, every company has key players, right? Your guys that you keep in the game the longest, right? And those are the guys that generally are used to the hours, but they get burnt out. I mean,
Yeah.
they do, and you have to somewhat keep a temperature. That's one of the cool things about the culture. The girls in the office will be like, hey, listen, every time such and such calls in, he wants to know how many calls he has. That's an indicator, right?
Yeah.
He's burned out. He just wants to go home, right? So when we're in our busy season and we just really need that guy to run that extra call. Hey, I've got a family that needs you, right? We've all made that phone call to our top technician. What we wound up started doing was, whether they knew it or not, we'll call their wife and say, hey, dinner's on us tonight.
Mm.
Call where you want, place the order, let us know where it is, tell them we're going to be calling in, we'll call and pay for it with our credit card.
That's
Okay.
awesome. Yeah.
it's not much, right? It's just dinner, you know? It's just dinner. It's a pizza, right? It's a couple of beers and some wings, whatever it is. But we're then saying, listen, we understand your husband is working really hard, wife is working really hard for us. We really appreciate it. So we don't want you to have to spend your valuable time tonight making them dinner. We want to provide that for you. It's not a big deal, but it puts an hour back in somebody's schedule, right?
Yeah.
Stuff like that is huge. When it gets to the point where you do have to give somebody time off, and you have to, believe me, if you're not, you're screwing up. You need to get with your team and say, hey, listen, these guys need some time off. Can you come in and cover this and do that, the other thing? And it works as long as you don't let it become too hot. You know, you can't let them get overworked and then they just don't have anything to give. So the little give backs we find are really big, and thanking them for what they do. You really have to thank them. Thank you so much. I know it's a rough year. I know you've been working your butt off. We appreciate you. We see you. That's a powerful statement.
Good stuff. Hey, Missy, anything to add on the work-life thing of it and how you kind of manage that?
Yeah, this is something that I started years ago, and it really just comes from my own personal experience. You know, Christmas time for us roofers is a difficult time because it is kind of the end of the season. It could be hit or miss. You got great weather, bad weather. But I know, I had 5 children, and Christmas, they get that big, long Christmas vacation.
Yeah.
So I was always, let's go skiing, let's go do this, let's get away. So at a very young age, I just started with my company when it was very small. We're shutting down for that week.
Mhm.
And in the beginning, I didn't pay the guys. Now what I do is, when I got new people coming on, hey, for the first year, we got to run a skeleton crew. So the majority of my guys, and we kind of view that as family time. Listen, guys, Christmas is all about families. Take that whole week off, between Christmas and New Year's. Spend the time with your family. Do that. We've expanded that to the 4th of July because the 4th of July is a very busy time for us. It's hot.
Sure.
And depending on when the 4th falls, you're going to get 5 to 6 days off straight, maybe 7, depending on what day it is. And we try to use those as 2 paid vacation times along with your other time off that you get.
That's great.
The other thing we do is we were doing pre-pandemic was, a Friday off with tickets going to an amusement park, a Phillies game, whatever you want, but the employees would get a day off. And, sometimes they can get their wives or husbands to take off and they can have a 3-day weekend.
Yeah.
Everybody's entitled to a nice weekend,
Yeah.
We spoke about it, and Fridays seem to be the best days for us because on my production guys, we try to schedule everything. We go, hard Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then we start slowing down by Thursday, Friday because we know we're all dead tired.
Sure.
Friday has always been our day that we try to make it so guys are done by 2 o'clock.
Oh, nice.
So looking at it, we sat down, myself and my brother and Ted, and like, hey, let's do the Friday day off would be the best of the days. And that's every Friday they get spins. And I don't know, I'd have to ask Amy how many times you got to land on that to get a day off. But
Sure.
her and Christine would be getting Fridays off all the time. And I'm like, I got to do something here. I called the office on Friday. I'm like, hey, I want to talk to Chris. Oh, she's off today. She's off. She's off.
Right. That's funny.
She got the Friday off. So, but it's great because it spiffs that, hey, this is something good. And obviously they really like their Fridays off.
Yeah.
So.
Sure.
And again, finding what your employees really want and value is huge, if you ask me.
That's ABrooks of ABrooks Construction, KangaRoof in Bristol, Pennsylvania. Dave Hill of Express Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning in Ship out of New Jersey. And Missy Jones from our own SGI on creating and protecting company culture. Thanks for joining us. If you feel like you have a great story worth sharing that would also help other contractors, email me at bhouchin@yoursgi.com. Also, if you enjoyed today's episode, if you're on YouTube, give us a like and subscribe. If you're on your favorite podcast player, leave us a 5-star review. And please join us for future episodes. It's my promise to you that we will continue to interview successful contractors and other influential individuals in the residential contracting world. This is The Successful Contractor, powered by Success Group International.
The Successful Contractor podcast is part of the Success Group International family. SGI is the largest member-owned best practices organization for independent residential services contractors. SGI provides its members a competitive edge through proven proprietary management tools and expertise, marketing programs, training, and group buying power, along with a highly active and eager to help membership. For more information about Success Group International, visit www.yoursgi.com.